talk today about social media. We have 3 of your colleagues on the line here that are going to share just a few minutes about what they do in their center to give some snapshots and some examples. So each of you have about 5 minutes, and then Rohan Wellington, you'll see that he's also on the line. He is our director at the North American Division for Professional Services Department. And he, it's a new department, and they are helping all of us do some of what we do better. And one of those is social media. So he will be sharing a little bit larger chunk to help us understand how we're navigating this space. So we're going to start out. If we can start with Aaron, are you able to start? Do you need to share? So Aaron is the assistant director for the Samaritan Center in Tennessee. And she has also served as one of their social media key personnel, although she also is in transition. So she is just an integral part of it. So I'm going to turn this over, and she's just going to share a couple items, a few minutes about what they do. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Colette. I also have with me this afternoon, Sherry Smith. She is our communications director. About 5 months ago, I had the opportunity to offload the communications department onto her capable plate. And so she's been with us for about 5 months. And as Colette said, I've been a part of the Samaritan Center for a number of years, about 5.5 years. And I am currently serving as the Associate Executive Director. For those of you who are not familiar where we are located in Ooltewah, Tennessee, which is about 10 minutes outside of the campus of Southern Adventist University. And since 1986, the Samaritan Center has sought to serve our community by injecting help and hope into difficult chapters. The Samaritan Center focuses on using Jesus's ministry as a model to meet the needs of those in our community. We model the ministry of Jesus through using his ministry as an example, and to provide and encourage our clients for self-sustainability and through building collaborative relationships. And the goal of the Samaritan Center, and specifically our communications department, is to tell the story of the Samaritan Center. And while this sounds simple, it is not easy. And it is also important to understand how we define success. A measurable and quantitative goal often gauges success. And while this is an important element, there's usually another component of success that is more qualitative in nature. And we keep this in mind as we gauge the success of our Facebook posts and campaigns. When evaluating success, I think about, does it get the Samaritan Center out into the community and on people's minds? Does it incorporate an element of education about what the Samaritan Center does to serve in our community? And does it seek to build relationships with the intended audience? We cannot control people's actions, but I believe that if we put an opportunity, a story, or a call to action, and we've described it the best we can trust and leave the results up to God. We have a variety of audiences that we seek to connect with through Facebook. We've got shoppers, potential volunteers, financial donors, donation doc donors, possible clients, and several area business partners. One way we utilize Facebook to tell the story of the Samaritan Center is to advertise the thrift store to attract shoppers. We learned that many of our audience members wish that we could save an item for them, and that's just something that we can't do. So you'll see at the end of our post, Sherry has added the phrase, "What you see may be gone tomorrow. Stop by and see what unique and must-have items you can take home with you today." We also seek to educate our shoppers about how their purchases support our ministry. We view these posts as successful because it helps our thrift store stay at the front of our audience's mind, as well as provide an educational component. The story of the Samaritan Center would not be complete if we overlooked the tremendous impact of the support of our faithful volunteers. We've had a lot of activity on the posts that feature our volunteers because it gives an opportunity for us to share their personal stories and why they love volunteering. And at the end of these spotlights, we provide a call to action so that if people are interested in learning more, it gives them information on how to do that. We see these posts as successful, even if we don't immediately get more calls, because we are planting seeds of opportunities. We have also seen positive feedback when highlighting flyers from our community bulletin board. We view this as successful because it is part of building the relationships with other organizations in our community, because there is a lot of them who are doing some really great things. We recently completed our spring cleaning drive where we had barrels out in many area businesses to help us get household cleaning items to have available to give to clients in need. We tried several different things to keep this drive on the mind of our audience. We took pictures and tagged the businesses when we dropped off the barrels. And we also did a giveaway to entice people to join in on our drive. However, we didn't see a lot of activity on this, and upon reflection, we thought that maybe the practice of taking a selfie and tagging us was just not a behavior that our audience was comfortable doing. When we picked up our spring cleaning barrels, we had over 1,200 items donated, and we were very, very pleased with that outcome. We're always trying to evaluate our approach to Facebook, thinking of new ideas and things to try. Some possibilities that we're considering are doing an invitation for people to go on our Beyond the Dock tour, where we get to show them behind the scenes, and so they get to see the whole big picture. We're also considering doing an educational campaign on what types of items are appropriate to donate on our donation dock to help cut down on the amount of trash that is donated. And if there are any questions, I would love to answer them. And kind of the best ways to contact Sherry and I would be through email.
Very good. Thank you, Erin. And we're gonna ask that you put any questions in the chat for now, and we'll get through the presentations, because we know that some of the questions will be answered as we go. And then whatever time we have at the end, we're just gonna have a discussion and go for it. But we're gonna go ahead and go over to Ken Flemmer. Ken is the Executive Director for the ACS of Greater Washington. And Winnell will share his PowerPoint for him. And Ken, if you get yourself off of mute, and then we will turn the time over to you. And
Good
thank
afternoon.
you, Erin. Thank you, Erin. That was beautiful. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I've been directing the Adventist Community Services of Greater Washington at 501 Sligo Avenue, which is right on the edge of Tacoma Park, Silver Spring. We've been serving the community from that address for 40 years. I worked 30 years for ADRA and now 9 years for Adventist Community Services. It was founded in '83 by Silver Spring, Sligo, Tacoma Park Adventist churches. When I took over in 2014, there weren't two nickels to rub together. The building looked like it had been abandoned. And what we do is we have a food pantry. In 21, we did almost 1 million, enough food for about 1 million meals. We have a free thrift shop. We have a learning center where we teach the local population various computer skills, from this is a mouse, click the button, did you see what happened, to advanced Excel, as well as ESL. And for several years now, we've done summer day camps, and most recently out of school. Now, back up one slide. I haven't really done as much with social media as is traditionally defined, Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. I have found social networking platforms that are excellent. The first one is Groups.io. They started out as Yahoo groups, but just a couple examples there of some when you Google, when you go to Groups.io and search, you can put in like Silver Spring and they start coming up, and you can see that Free Cycle has 4,700 members. Tacoma Park has 8,000, almost 4,200. Some of them are very restrictive. Some of them won't let me join because I don't live in their neighborhood, but I have quite a few. And then the other one that I've been using is Nextdoor. And you find a neighborhood by putting in your zip code. And as you can see, the one for Silver Spring has 338,000. So just if I only did these three, I would be reaching, what is that? 350,000 eyeballs, potential eyeballs every time I do a post. If you can go to the next slide. That's the list on the left of the neighborhoods that I've joined. And between Nextdoor and this, if you're familiar with our area here, I can reach from halfway to Baltimore to almost downtown DC. That's a lot of territory that I can reach and communicate with. Go to the next slide. So how do I use them? Awareness. When COVID hit, I started doing weekly updates. This is what we saw. We're seeing this many more clients than the week before. This is what we're experiencing. These are where we're having problems. When the Afghans were arriving, someone said, anybody doing anything for the Afghans? And it was like, oh my goodness. So I thought, well, let me be careful here because you can get inundated with people donating junk. And so I just did a couple of the listservs, you know, I call them listservs right around the center. And someone was in the media profession and put it on their Twitter account. And within a couple days, it had 14,000 likes. I had people driving from Frederick and Fredericksburg, Virginia, to drop off things from Baltimore for the Afghans as they were arriving. I recruit volunteers. I raise issues. One of them is, I don't know if you're familiar with Giving Tuesday, but within Giving Tuesday, they have Give Every Tuesday. So almost every week they have some kind of a theme that I use to say, well, did you realize this is Volunteer Week? And, you know, make some comments, or this is Public Health Week. And you can draw attention to different issues. And fundraising, I've even used Craigslist. People are trying to sell stuff that I need, and I say, would you give it to a poor nonprofit for tax receipt? And I get about a 25% positive response on that. But I want to share with you the most exciting experience I had. Go to the next slide. I did a Christmas Day post. I had a good story, I had a challenge, I had an opportunity, and I had a ask. And it was like a perfect storm of things that came together. And I always address everyone as our neighbor. 2022 was another intense year because neighbors like you. 22 was also has its rewards. Last week, in the midst of the holiday food basket distribution, a grandmother quietly asked if I had any toys for her young grandkids. She shared the ages, and I knew I had a couple items that would work. As I handed her the toys, tears welled up in her eyes. And with her words of thanks came a great big bear hug. I wish you could have been there, but I am glad that I can share this one experience of your support making a difference. For this grandmother, a huge difference. You are so essential to our community. The center needs your help to not end 2022 in the red. The center needs to be in a good place when the doors open for services Monday, January 2, and together we can change the community one life at a time. Even with income falling behind expenses for much of the year, an opportunity presented itself that could not be passed up. The center's HVAC system is very, very ancient. Not only ancient, but not very efficient. And Tacoma Park is a very environmentally conscious community. That was very deliberate. A matching grant was approved for $20,000, 50% of the cost to replace the antiquated HVAC with new high efficiency heat pumps with a new high efficiency. The installation is complete, but ACS is still $8,000 short of the full $41,000. I am asking you to support this major improvement that will benefit the center and the community for the next 25 plus years. You can take advantage of this match by supporting. Thanks for your commitment to the many who still struggle with the impact of COVID, that COVID had on their well-being, and now inflation is adding to their family woes. So that was Christmas Day. December 30, I followed up. As 2022 takes its last breaths, I want to express many thanks for all the support the community you have given to our neighbors. Words seem so inadequate. You have given your time. You have given financial and in-kind support. You have said prayers. Together, we have learned the blessing that comes from giving. I was so blessed to see parents nurturing their children, bringing them to pack boxes, sort donations, and to serve baskets. Thanks to one and all for all you have done. However, it seems that 2023 will continue to disrupt lives. Inflation is ripping family finances to shred. The impact of inflation also hits a food pantry. Just today, CNN reported that the price of eggs is up nearly 50%. Rents seem to increase with every lease renewal. Triple-demic is lurking around every corner. Common medications are in short supply. Breadwinners lose days of work. There are also the lives who have had unspeakable drama and trauma as they struggle to escape an old life of fear and destitution to seek a new life in the greater Silver Spring, Tacoma Park area. Every day, new arrivals seek assistance from Adventist Community Services. Sadly, in 23, it seems you will be more essential than ever. The Adventist Community Service is more than food, diapers, and a free thrift shop. ACS is a learning center that provides work skills, training for a lasting change, English, and we can skip some of that. Together, we made a difference in 2022. Together, we will make a difference in 23. In 23, join me as together we celebrate 40 years of serving the community from the 501 Sligo Avenue location. And then one reader gave this response, and I'll let you read it yourself. And the last slide. At the onset of COVID, I used these platforms for about 3 months. Every week I updated how many people we'd seen, how much food we'd distributed, any anecdotal information that came around. When the Afghans came, I filled a good 3 semi-truckloads of donations. I'm still distributing some of that. And I've collaborated with Homes Not Borders that outfits those apartments. These 2 posts that I shared 1 week apart raised well over $20,000, which is for our center an astronomical amount of money. So I have found these platforms, they aren't Facebook or Twitter or anything else, and I'm sure you have them in your neighborhood. They have been amazingly effective in lifting the profile, not of just the center, but the whole Adventist community in the Tacoma Park, Silver Spring area. And that's what I have to share.
Oh, thank you, Ken. Thank you. That is, I've got questions, but I will hold my questions too. But those are, it's nice to see the variety of ways that you all are using it. And Norm, we're gonna go towards yours. I'm gonna let you introduce Victoria since she is part of your staff and you're on here. But if Victoria, if you want to come up and start sharing, if you have anything to share on the screen, you can go ahead and be doing that. Well, Norm, we're moving across the country now. We've been in Tennessee and then Maryland, and now we're moving across the country to, I think, what is it, still morning there? Not quite. You just had lunch. So we're over in Walla Walla, Washington with Sunbridge. Go ahead, Norm.
Yeah, I'm Norman Thiel with Sunbridge Center for Better Living here in Washington. And we serve the communities of Walla Walla and College Place. We have a thrift store. We have a dental clinic. We have lots of meeting spaces. As I speak across the hall, there's a meeting going on with all of the organizations in our community that serve clients who have problems with utilities. And we get together once a month and say, who's got what money for utilities this month, and how can you do it? And next week, there'll be a similar meeting talking about housing and what resources. So we need to engage with our community on a regular basis, engage to find volunteers, to solicit donations, to show people how they can help. And Victoria's been with us first as a student and now as a graduate, and she has some great insights to share how we use Facebook and Instagram. So I'll start sharing some of what I am definitely not the expert, but we have very much used Facebook and cross-posting on Instagram as a method of communication. And this is a process of showing what's available in our thrift store, but very similar to what Aaron said. It's like you need to come see it yourself because there's no guarantee that it's going to be here. But as we do that, we have the staff from our thrift store in charge of posting about 3 days a week, and then Victoria, who has a broader perspective of what is our mission, who are we trying to recruit, and does postings the other couple of days of the week. And we engage with our community that way. Simultaneously, we do email to our donor database, but Facebook is by far the most active channel of communication.
Is it sharing the whole screen or just part of it?
That's good now. You're good.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, here we go. So as Norman introduced, I work as a communications associate for Sunbridge, and we're in Walla Walla, Washington, been here since 2005. And we do several things here at the center. First of all, we have a thrift store. So with donations, we are able to have a store that people can come in and just have a really unique experience. We also have programs for assistance like rental assistance, power, financial, gas vouchers, and we can also help out with clothing from the thrift store and other appliances they may need. And then we have a dental clinic. So as you can imagine, it's a very diverse operation, and there's a lot that goes into it. So there's a lot of information that needs to be shared, a lot of events going on, and therefore social media is a little bit more complicated for us. But as I'll share a little bit later, we've found ways to use it. So the platforms that we have are Facebook and Instagram. So there's a picture of our Facebook kind of homepage there. And our audience is mostly Walla Walla Valley residents, because obviously those are the people who will be utilizing our services most, and they're local. We want to work to strengthen the community. That's our mission, to bring hope and wholeness to the community. So our real focus is people who are local and can use our services. But we love connecting with people who are near and far. For example, right now we have a dental fair in the works, and we are working with people from Tri-Cities or all over Washington to get that dental fair going. So mostly local, but not always. Of course, those who are interested in community events and in assistance. So we're pretty fortunate here in the Walla Walla Valley. I've found in the time that I've been here that there are a lot of service agencies. There's also a lot of small businesses and organizations, and a lot of them stick together and really support each other. So there's a lot of community support in this area, and that is, we want to engage those people more. So that is another part of our audience. And the thrift shop is a large part of Sunbridge. It's a very obvious part. So we also reach out to people who are interested in thrift shopping. So the demographic for that is mostly women ages 18 to 45. That is the people that we find mostly that engage with us on social media. But of course, it is not restricted to that. That is just where we tend to find most of our following and engagement. So the objectives that we have with social media are to tell stories of how we impact the community. Of course, we also want to advertise for the thrift shop so that we can get people in, because every dollar that is spent at the thrift shop is used going back into the community and helping people who are underprivileged and need assistance. So as a nonprofit, that is how we're making, or we have resources that we can help the community. We also want to spread awareness of our center and of our mission, both recruiting volunteers and donors who can further support the mission, or reaching out to groups who want to use our space. We have a large education center with different rooms where people can come in and meet together, create community, share ideas. So we want to bring more people in to be using that space. And we also want to connect with similar organizations over social media and individuals. Right, so how we use our platforms, we do some campaigns. There are some people who like to collect donations for Sunbridge for their birthday. That is something that you can do over Facebook. So we have had people use social media that way. Posts, of course. So making sure that the information that we put out on our social media is relevant to the people who are looking at it. Marketing, so we use it as a platform to share what we have in our thrift shop and to bring people in. We highlight sales and tell people what our hours are and tell them that they can come in. And event promotion. So if we have an event going on at Sunbridge that we want people to know about, then we use social media and hopefully attract them that way. So a little bit of a deeper dive into social media and how that works. Social media runs on algorithms. So that is a whole complicated thing in itself. But basically, Instagram and Facebook as well, they are optimized if you use certain numbers of posts a week. So the ideal posts are about 3 to 5. If you post more than that, Instagram feels like you are flooding it and not as many people are going to see your content and engage with you. Likewise, if you only post perhaps 2 to 3 times or 1, then Instagram is going to feel like, oh, this account is not very active, so we're not going to push the content out to other people who may be subscribed or follow your account. So the ideal posts are 3 to 5 per week. We have seen from 5 to 25 on our personal account. And 25 is definitely higher end of things. You don't want to flood people too much. You want quality content that people can engage with and that is meaningful. Also, the time of day matters because some people might be online at a certain time and may see what you are posting, whereas if you post at times where people are not online, they may miss it. So the ideal time of day for us tends to be from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., perhaps when people are having lunch and checking social media, and that's when they tend to see our content most. And then Instagram also likes, or Facebook and Instagram both like likes. So we tend to see probably an average of 10 likes for each post. And that also pushes your content out because the Instagram and Facebook can tell, oh, people are engaging with us. So let's push this content out. And we want people to see our content, our posts, so that they can engage with our mission. So we are not just looking for popularity or validation with likes or comments. We want people to be able to see our content because they are engaging with it more. And videos are good as well. We don't always post just pictures. So I'm going to show you just a little bit of what we post. So we find that the posts that have people in them, so events that are happening, volunteers, real life moments get a lot more engagement because people like to see what's happening. People like to see that their support of Sunbridge is going towards positive events and positive causes. So on the left, we have a cooking class that we had, and we were able to share with people, this is how it turned out. Here's a few pictures, and a lot of people really enjoyed that. And we like to use social media as a storytelling platform as well as a marketing or event promotion, because the real heart of Sunbridge is the mission to help people. So we like to show those people that are being helped or who are helping and doing service in the community. A few years ago, social media interns at Sunbridge were mostly in charge of our social media account, but there was a bit of conflict with the store because they felt like we didn't understand their side of things. So we now share the account between the thrift shop and the education center, and we let the people from the thrift shop post about sales, about items that they have, and have a lot of positive engagement with that. And then we post things more like events and people and things that have happened. So here are a few posts straight from Instagram and Facebook. So on the left, you can see a picture of some bowls, and that is an event that we had last week, Soupport Luncheon, and it was a great success. Over 300 people came, and it is a big fundraiser for Sunbridge. So we were able to share pictures of that event, and a lot of people enjoyed it and said, oh, I was there and it was great, and I love what you do at Sunbridge. And some other people were able to say, oh, I'm planning to do that next year. So they already have in mind, oh, this is what Sunbridge does, and looking forward to supporting Sunbridge in the future. And on the right, you can see adult enrichment classes poster. So as I said before, we use Sunbridge accounts for sharing event, what's happening at Sunbridge as well. And there's a couple of more posts. We do weekly Faith Fridays, so engaging people with quotes about spiritual life and faith. And then of course some dishes from the thrift store as well. And then just a couple of pictures of our grids on Facebook and Instagram. So just to wrap up, successes and lessons learned, we want to highlight people because that is what creates more engagement. People like to see people. So we like to share what's happening at Sunbridge. We also want to engage with others, and I think we've been successful in that. Things that we have learned over time is to share the platform with the thrift shop, and that is something that we will continue to learn about and learn to do better. And we also need to establish game plans. So when we're using social media, we want to make sure we know what the objective is and that we are fulfilling our mission in reaching people. Because the goal of social media, the positive goal, because obviously it can be used for negative things, but the positive goal and the reason that we at Sunbridge use social media is because we want to engage with others and ultimately spread hope and wholeness, which is our mission, with everyone in the community.
Very nice. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you. And we are burning through our time here. So I'm gonna go right over to Rohan. I'm gonna ask you as Rohan finishes off our time with kind of a general, you've seen 3 examples of some centers that are using social media really well. And some of the lessons that they've been learning, some of the ways that they've used it. And it's always so nice to have some examples, because we talk about it, it's in theory, but to actually see some of those posts, and those were really nice posts that each of you have done, very different, but really, really nice. And I'm going to ask if you have questions as we go, either from what those 3 have done, or as Pastor Wellington, as you go through yours, to go ahead and post them in the chat. And if there's something that can be answered as we go ahead. Those who have presented already, go ahead and respond. But we're going to go to Elder Wellington, who is our Director of Professional Services, to give us a little bit different view of how we think about it. We'll see. You guys have been very thorough, so there may be some of this that you already covered, but go ahead and tell us what you can.
Thank you very much, Colette. And it's just a great opportunity to be here and to share. The presentations have been so great that I think we need a call for the benediction right now and just have a special prayer and close right out. This is such a great presentation. For those, especially, I'm not calling anyone out, but just especially hearing from my brother's alma mater there over in Walla Walla area, and just seeing some of the great stuff that is being done. I'm going to be referring a little bit to what I heard Ken say. Ken, I think Flemmer made some really good points that I want to highlight also. And just great. All 3 presentations have been great. And let's get to,
there you go.
Let's get everybody see my screen and everybody's good.
Yes.
So I want to talk a little bit about effective social media strategies, and we're speaking to the leaders. One of the things that I've heard from the various presenters so far, I think Norman made it clear that, you know, he did the administrative stuff, and some folk, he hired some others to do the technical stuff of getting things done. And that's what I'm going to be talking a little bit more to the directors, from the administrative perspective, so that you can help to guide the process. What we do here in professional services is we do help with social media strategy and development and execution and monitoring and evaluation for the various 37 departments of the North American Division, as well as other elements. So we've got a team of people that work with us. And so we've done some of these things, tested some of these things, and we just keep them as simple as we possibly can to help you to journey with us. My journey with ACS, you probably will never recognize this, but my journey with ACS is all the way back years ago, but particularly Hurricane Sandy. You probably remember Hurricane Sandy. That was in New York. That's the reality of what we had to live through in New York. And ACS was known for, and it's still known for, its yellow color, its yellow branding, its yellow sweaters and its yellow shirts. And I'm a pretty tall fellow. If you all want to see me stand up, I'm a very tall fellow, just so you all know. When I stand up, I mean, when there looks down on me, so that should tell you how tall I am. And that's where the water level was, right? Above my head, right there out in Far Rockaway, Long Island. And we are accustomed to various types of ACS. I heard we talk about dental clinic. That's good. But the disaster is when a lot of people know what we do. We also have a lot of food pantries, and we do a lot for the community. And so my question is, how do we embrace the change? How do we embrace the change of the seasons? COVID caused the change in how we interact and how we really define community and how we really interact with that community. How do we look at technology and social media? Is it something to be shunned? Is it something that we're afraid of? Or are we looking to embrace it? In other words, I'd like to suggest to you today that it's not just a change element, but it's a complement. I think social media complements what we already do. If we're not doing anything, then we really don't have a complement to bring to the table. But if we're doing something, then this element of in the digital space is a complement to what we do. I've read this quote, and it's a very, very powerful quote that I keep. Leaders who pretend nothing needs to change end up being the blacksmiths in the era of automobile, Sears in the age of Amazon, or Kodak in an Instagram culture. You know, it's an ouch moment, but it's a growing moment also. Although I did go somewhere in one of my travels and realized Sears is still around for some places, but I think they're closing down. So the question is, social media, it's both a stethoscope magnifying your ability to listen to your congregation and community. That's significant. And a megaphone magnifying your ability to proclaim God's word to the community. It is the ability to be the hands and feet of Jesus in the physical space as well as in the digital space. Now, how do we interact in that digital space? How do we assess the needs of our community in today's world? Those are some significant questions that we have to ask. And I've always said, okay, if social media is a complement, what is it a complement to? It's a complement to our full clothing distribution. It's a complement to our food distribution. It's a complement to our health clinics. It's a complement to our warehousing. It's a complement to our legal services that some places provide. It's a complement to all these things that we do. I was doing a little bit of research in preparation for this, and I'm just showing this slide and then jump in into the social media strategy element. It was really significant to see households with low food security, and these are in the thousands. This was just a 2022 statistic compiled over 2020. And there's just this big disparity of people, households with low food security, and yet still community services present, not from the Adventist perspective, but from the community perspectives done by Statista. And it just shows the wealth of opportunity that we have and the ability to still be of relevance to our community. So I think it was, I don't remember everybody's name, but I think it was Ken that was talking a little bit about what they did for the Afghan refugees. I'm a military chaplain in the Air Force, and most, if not all, the significant majority of the Afghan refugees came to my base. And so it was interesting interacting with and seeing how we in the military were able to facilitate the interaction with the various agencies that were providing help and support and all of that, as well as to see what our churches are doing in welcoming them. And I'm thankful for what I heard Ken talked about a little bit in that. So let's go into the digital marketing strategy from a perspective of community. If they were to take you, like, you, if they were to take you, I'm talking about you. If they were to take you out of the community, what would they say? Would you be missing? Would your presence, would your effectiveness be missing? We spend a lot of time building our community in person, but how do we build that community online? How do we establish that community online? And that's very important in what we do, building that online community. Who's our target audience? Now, this may sound like, and those are on the technical side, they may understand this language a little bit, but once you go into the online space, the digital space, things kind of get blurry because you never know who you're really talking to unless you are intentional about who you're targeting. And if you have a target audience, it will define how you treat your approach to this. I know somebody was talking about Nextdoor. Nextdoor is a good resource for a specific target audience. If you're trying to sell stuff from your or give away stuff from your community services, you may want to look at some other community resources. So, Craigslist is kind of old, but it's still relevant, still used. But you also have now emerging the Facebook marketplace, and I'll come back to that a little bit more. But building your online community goes beyond you. It needs a team, right? So team of individuals, and it's not 10, 15 people, it's 1 or 2 people. You really can't do everything by yourself. And so you need somebody to be able to, okay, help me take some pictures, some good pictures of what the quality services we may need to have or put out there. We need to get some strategy and writing, copywriting stuff, or posting things on schedule. That may not have the proficiency of a communication team member or a professional person on their team. Just harness the good nature of a young individual who is familiar with these platforms that can help you and can demonstrate commitment and competency in doing this, building your online community. Somebody, I think it was, and my names are Victoria, was talking about posting like 3 times per week or so. That's very important to drive your level of engagement, the algorithm of how things are developed. If it's just like 1 time a month or 1 time every 2 weeks or so, you're not really driving an engaging involvement in the algorithm of your social media strategy. So you want to have some consistency, you want to have some presence 2-3 times a week, or depending on what you're trying to accomplish is good. Put something out there, and even on the weekends, if it's not even trying to get something, just try it from somebody, but you're trying to just encourage somebody along the way. Do something just to keep your online presence there, and be intentional. Intentionality is very important. What platforms do you go to? Is it going to be Facebook? Is it going to be Instagram? Is it going to be Snapchat? Is it going to be TikTok? Is it going to be Nextdoor? Is it going to be what platform are we going to be on? And guess what? You don't have to be on everyone. You don't have to be. You don't have to be on everyone, but you've just got to be intentional, and then you've just got to be committed to being there. Don't just get in there and then, oh, I'm gone. No, you got to get in there, stay in there. It's going to get a little bit muddy, but stick it out and everything will come together nicely. So here are some recommendations I have for you on a management perspective for our community services directors, all right? Establish a specific social media account and or social media alias. So if you're attached to a church or a conference, it's good to separate that social media name for whatever the name of the, if it's Goodwill or if whatever the name is, just make sure that whatever the name is, the social media account matches. So there is continuity for branding purposes, okay? So make sure that the name that you have on social media matches the name of your organization or your entity that you're running, all right? All social media accounts should be linked to a corporate social media business account. Now, this is very important. By the way, when you say social media email account, also, that's for the, let me go back to this one. I want to make, oops, did I just say? Yeah, this is also very important. I don't want to slip on this. Especially because you're dealing with volunteers or if you have a staff, okay? We have this problem happen a lot of times. Managers or directors, they will set up a social media account with their personal email account, and they get a call or they retire or they move to another place, and guess what? They forgot their password or they took their, and then people can't get into the account to make the necessary changes or so. So the email account needs to be with the institution, all right? So you can do that with Gmail. If it's, let's say, because we're Seventh Day Adventist, it's Goodwill at Seventh Day Community Services, Goodwill at Seventh Day Community Services at gmail.com. Or if you have the ability to have a conference email, it's Goodwill Seventh Day at whatever conference name it is. You want to make sure that that's there. If you have multiple accounts, you want to make sure that they're linked to your corporate social media business account. This is for more advanced community services centers who may have a conference communication team. You want to be tied to your conference communication team because of cross-posting possibilities. Now, cross-posting may sound like a big word, but it's not a big word. Cross-posting just simply means I put it on my page or on my site, then the conference can put it on their site, then youth ministries can put it on their site, then and so the cross-posting abilities allow you to be able to be on multiple sites within the organization. So you want to make sure that that's done. The social media account users, all right, this is a big one. This is a big one. The users should be departmental director approved volunteers. Now, this is big. This is huge. Oh yeah, I just said that. This is huge. Yeah, this is huge. The social media users should be departmental director approved volunteers. Why? Because they can have access to your page, and anybody that's posting on your page, you'd be surprised. We've actually had cases like this that the director didn't know that who this person was. And they posted stuff that, you know, can be inappropriate, and they've started posting personal stuff on there. So you want to be mindful of that. Finally, on this aspect, usernames and passwords should be kept secure and on a need to know basis. All right. So at least 2-3 people, two persons need to know what the passwords are. But please don't have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people having all your passwords to your social media accounts. Just because they're on the team. Just because they're on the team doesn't mean everybody has to have the passwords for the accounts. All right, fair enough. Let's keep going a little bit more on this. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the social media strategy. You want to talk about strategy. Who are you trying to target, and what platform are you trying to target? Establish a corporate account and not a personal one. Branding and design is very, very important, okay? Because branding wants to makes you look that you're not a pop on the shop in a corner shop. I don't know if I said that right, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Like you're a pop-up shop on the corner just trying to get something out of people or trying to give people some things that they really don't need. So you want to make sure you're branded properly as a community services center, regardless of whatever the naming or the nomenclature may be. If it's attached to the institution, organization, make sure it's branded properly and looks professional, all right? And then you want to also evaluate your effectiveness. And this is very important, because if it's not working, it's okay to say, hey, this is not working for me. How can I change gear? How do I move to something else? The challenge sometimes we have is that we keep beating the dead horse that, man, this is going to work, when we really are in the wrong space and the wrong place. And so we need to evaluate our effectiveness in what we do. All right. Here are some ways to evaluate our effectiveness. What's your level of engagement? I think Vanessa talked about, or Victoria talked about, likes and that type of thing. You're not, and she's correct, you're not on a popularity contest. But you want to know what your engagement is. You want to know that you're not just posting out there and people are not responding or engaging. ROIs are returns on investments. What's your time? What's your talent? What's the resources that you have spent to build out your infrastructure or to engage with these people online or in that digital community space? You want to make that assessment based on the responses. You want to see how effective you are with this. So you want to make sure you do some evaluation. And guess what? Guess what? People are afraid to do the evaluation of the effectiveness of what they're doing because they're afraid. All right. You know what the elephant in the room is? Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is, if the evaluation is not good, then it's reflecting poorly on me. And so I may lose my job, or they may not want me to go back, or they may say I'm not doing a good job. Hey, that's okay. That's part of the process of saying, hey, this is not working. We need to change gears. Okay. I got a weakness. I like cars. I drive cars and I like sports cars and standard cars, not the automatic cars, like the cars where you have to press the clutch and change the gears and go. And one of the things that I'll tell you, if you stay in the wrong gear for too long, you're going to burn out yourself and burn out the engine, and you're going to lose effectiveness. So you want to make sure that you change gears accordingly as is needed. All right, let's keep going because I know we're past the 5 o'clock. You said 15 minutes. Don't worry, I'm going to wrap this up right about now so we can get to it. All right, here's some social media marketplace outlets. Facebook Marketplace is the trend right about now. This is the place that is for free and for purchase. Man, let me tell you something. Oh, I don't have time. I talked about car, but I don't have time to tell you all of that story. But people are giving away stuff for free on Marketplace. And you can create a marketplace for your community service center where people can engage with you and you can engage with people in the community. It's also geo-located, so you can, people will be able to know, okay, you're in the Maryland area, you're Waller area, you're in the New York area, you're Florida area, Atlanta area, wherever you are, so they can come to you, they can get stuff, they can, all right. And then Nextdoor. Now, I think I heard there's one presentation on Nextdoor. Nextdoor's effectiveness, I think, was Ken. The beauty about Nextdoor is, of course, everybody's got to sign up on this thing. It's locally done. There's a certain level of, you always will know what's happening in that community. I've not used Nextdoor as much. There are some members on my team that have used it, and they say it's pretty good. But Facebook Marketplace still hits the #1 spot, even above Craigslist, All right, let's go to the other part of the story about the donation. All right, donation aspect, the e-commerce on your store. It's very important to have e-commerce. This is part of being on social media. Make sure that the online giving process is as simple. You don't need 10 steps. You don't need 7 steps to be able to give a donation. All right. If you go to the American Red Cross website, you'll be able to see the donation. Click donate, boom. All right, they got 10, 50, there's a science behind suggesting what the donation should be. Okay, you don't want to put $1 there. Okay, let them put in $1. You want to put what the average donations you want to put in: $25, $50, $100, whatever it is, as starter points. But make sure it's easy. Once they click that button, they should have a donate button on there. Make sure that donate button is big and bold. I've seen folk who have gone into digital space and they have these nice flyers and they have all of this, but the donation process is complicated and there's no donation button right there. If I've got to go search for the donation button, then I'm really not there. Your donation needs to be right in my face. You click that thing and I'm right there with the donation that I can give. Now, registration may be required. It's not required that they may have to. Now, you can use various plugins you can use PayPal, you can use Adventist Giving, you can use this popular one here. You have so many different ones that you can use. I'm not going to spend time on that, but if people already have accounts, they would be able to just click boom. Once they click that, give them the multiple options. Now, you got to have a conversation with your conference treasurers, because your conference treasurers may say, well, don't take for PayPal, don't take for when I was in Greater New York, I set up for ACS and I set up for all these guys. And I set up for ACS. Biazotto was there when I was doing all this, and I took the PayPal and I took the PayPal in and into a specific account, and then it would go from the PayPal account into the bank account, and the treasurer come like, hey, what's this? And I'm like, here's a printout, boom. She has everything that she needs. She's good. She says, oh, great, excellent. We can move forward. Of course, there's no tax deduction on the PayPal element, but that's another conversation. I won't get into that. But make sure you have the e-commerce and the online giving option. All right, create your social media strategy. That's a two-way communication, closing out. Vlogs, inspirational quotes. All right, showcase community involvement. This is big. If you want to reach the next generation, if you want to engage the Gen Zs and the millennials, this is it right here. Showcase community involvement. Showcase what you are doing in the community. It is okay. Of course, you got to make sure if you're doing kids, make sure you got permission slip to be able to showcase kids, but make sure you showcase your community involvement. All right. Anybody knows what that is? Anybody knows what that is? Just put it in the hashtag in the, oh man, I just said it. You guys got it. I was going to say, put it in the chat, but I'm out of time. So I'm running. Most people are going to say, all right, it's number sign. All right. The key to your online engagement, is this thing right here. Create hashtags. All right. It's not a number sign. It's a hashtag. A hashtag means you're tied to somebody else, tied to some meaningful community engagement or community services or whatever, or whatever the project or whatever the disaster or whatever the community need is, whatever you're doing. Hashtag is the way to go, because in that digital space, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, that's how other people in the community are able to see what you are doing. So make sure you've got the hashtag on there. And CTA's call to actions. That's call to action. Make sure that you have a call to action. What do you want the people to do? Do you want them to sign up for something? Do you want them to come by your store? Do you want them to donate? Do you want them to pray? Do you want them to join a community action community or something? Whatever it is, make sure you give them a call to action. All right, because of the interest of time, I'm going to stop right here. I got more to close us out with, and I'll probably, if I get 30 seconds more, I can close you out quickly with that. Be creative. Close you out with that quickly. Be creative, be adaptable, build around your context. Don't try to be the big and compare yourself to everybody else around. If your ministry is not as big as the other person, that's all right. Do your best with what you've got. God will bless you. Be intentional about connecting, build on multiple platforms. Nextdoor is one, Facebook is one, Instagram is another, Facebook groups is another. You can create these groups that you may need to build on multiple platforms, but don't just build and abandon them. Have a strategy for it. And with that, I am 5'10". I took my time. I tried to make sure that I flew the 747 as fast as I could. And we are coming down for landing right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for flying on the Adventist Community Services digital presentation today.
Thank you, sir. It's a big plane, and we also don't want you to crash on the runway. So we're letting you land it a little bit here with a couple extra minutes. Thank you so much. All of you have added within your presentation so many different elements. I like, Ken, you added in there that those neighborhood and group IO, they really bring it to the neighborhood. It's not as broad of a group. Really neat pieces. So I don't want to hold everybody. I did put in there too, to just ask yourself, what are you going to do with this information? This was fun to see, fun to be together, but it is a call to action to do something in your place, and just one step forward is all we can often manage, but one step forward is somewhere where you weren't before. So keep moving. I'm gonna reiterate a couple of things that I heard, Rohan, what you just said. Establish a specific account that has to match the name of your organization. This takes it out of a lot of our centers operate on a very personal level, and we want to start building that to an organizational level. So I appreciate that. Make it a business account, which I've heard so many discussions about that back and forth. So that's a good piece of advice right there. And then that the email is with the institution. Oh my goodness, how many headaches you can save just right there. And then
A ton of headaches.
many headaches that we've all dealt with. So go right from the beginning to avoid that one, and then to approve those who get to post, because yeah, those are some of the things. As we grow, we don't always get some of those pieces nailed down, and suddenly we find ourselves. So evaluate what you do and be part of that. I do see a question about the presentation. It has been recorded, so this will go out to you. I'm trying to make sure I'm reading it so you can send it to specific individuals. Yes, I think this is wonderful information. How do we identify media groups specific to cultures of our community to be a part of, and this is coming from somebody who does work specifically with Hispanic groups in her neighborhood. So if there's any platforms or anything that you would identify, I might just ask them where they're at, how they get their information and where they're at, and then join them. But if there's anything that the presenters have to add to that.
I don't know, but I'd like to say that the best thing is to have the conversation with the people who are in the local community, because they will tell you. The man on the street type of a conversation is always the best. If you really want to get the heart of what's happening, walk the streets and be able to talk to the folk and see what they're doing. They'll tell you a little bit of trends. In terms of the media groups, that's probably the best that I could say. I know somebody else may want to add to that. You want to?
Yeah, no, and we will probably on a future one look at media, connecting with the media, like the television, newspaper, a little bit separate. These hours go fast. They go really fast to cover educational topics. So if there's more that you are interested in, as we have built this platform, this is our first year of really building a platform for you to learn and to develop what you need to do. So please let us know what you need as we are learning and growing together. We are creating this forum together. So your input is very needed in that. Ken, since you are at the tail end and we may not see you too much in the future, would you please close us with prayer?
Dear God, as we close out here, we pray that your blessing of grace will be with each one of us, each one of our ministries, that we can always keep in mind the need to share hope, to give those that come to us seeking help or inquiring the need to have hope. Dear God, I pray for a blessing on every person and every ministry. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.